Welcome back, everyone. 1000 videos, part 2. So yeah, this is the second video in my 1000 video celebration. The first one is gameplay of the very first deck list that I ever played on the channel. You should definitely go check that out. But today, we're going to take a little walk down memory lane. I'm basically just going to look through my old videos and talk about things that I remember, whether that's things from the deck itself, things from the gameplay, and like videos that did really well, were milestones for the channel, and also like things that I learned either through playing the game or looking at the game afterwards. I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But before we get into that, I have to thank each and every one of you that's ever watched a video, that's ever commented, that have supported me in one way or another over the years. And most importantly, I have to thank all of my Patreons. I would not still be here making videos without my Patreons. So thank you guys. And I do want to give a special shout out to Sean, who donated me a computer probably about 3 years ago because the machine that I was using to film and record games with was 1 foot in the grave, since it was kind of a budget machine that was 10 years old already. Can't say thank you enough to Sean. The computer that I've been recording on for 3 years has been a dream. It is much, much faster and has just made making the videos a lot easier. So again, thank you to Sean, thank you to the Patreons, and thank you to everyone else that's ever supported in one way or another. With that, let's get into the video. All right, so here we are. The very first video that I ever released. Of course, it was an Aurelia video. That was released on January 4th of 2017. Now a little over 6 years ago. 3,000 views is probably a little bit low for a video this old, but is like completely average by today's standard of what I would normally do, so that's a whole thing. But anyway, I do want to take a quick peek at this video, and we'll just watch a little bit of it and kind of get the feel for it. This was before I used the theme song that I use in every video now. The theme song came in a few videos later, and I'll tell you guys the story about that one. The name of that song is called Dark Skies of Doom. I forgot the name of the guy that composed it. It is a royalty-free song that I've been using, and I discovered that piece of music for a work project that I was doing where we were making a training video, and we needed some background music for the video, and I was just poking through royalty-free sound libraries. And I stumbled onto that song, and like in the project, they were like, "No, we cannot use this song, right? Like it's way too dramatic." And a couple videos into the channel, I realized, oh my god, I know what song I should use. So that's when I started using Dark Skies of Doom. But this video, I still wasn't sure what I was doing yet. So I tried this whole heavy metal thing. We'll skip past it. This intro is like pretty long, I think. Like at the beginning, I didn't know how long to make an intro. That's like a whole thing that you just kind of got to figure out on your own. It's much shorter than you think. But let's take a look at my very first introduction.
Hey guys, welcome to Commander Replay, where I walk through Magic Online replays to showcase a particular commander's playstyle. Today we are looking at Aurelia the War Leader.
Oh my god, I'm so tame. So, like, subdued. Also worth noting, this is a replay of a game. This isn't the game happening live. You can see the play buttons down here at the bottom. I only did this for like 2 or 3 videos, thus the name Commander Replay. I was originally planning to use only the replays from videos, but as it turns out, like, it's just a lot more exciting to call the games live, and 2, the replay function in Magic Online would actually break fairly often. Like, new cards would cause it to crash, and you couldn't watch the replays and all this and that, so that was a whole thing.
This is one of my absolute favorite commanders, and I've been playing her for several years in both paper and Magic Online.
Now I've been playing her for like a decade. I did watch part of this game earlier. Yesterday, I did release gameplay of this deck list. So I did have to watch a couple parts of the video, so I kind of have an idea of what happens again. But we'll skip a ways into this video, the kind of the more interesting stuff. One of the things, actually, there's one spot around here somewhere. Mask of Memory, here it is. Okay, this is what I was looking for. See if we can get a zoom in. There it is. Mask of Memory. This video was shortly after I started using Mask of Memory. I think I saw a blue deck or something running a Mask of Memory somewhere. I'm like, oh, that seems like it could be interesting. And lo and behold, it has been the single greatest draw source for me over my entire Commander career. The number of cards drawn with Mask of Memory for me has to be astronomical. There's a couple moments in this game that were really cool.
Now, you prevent all that damage and get... So that's 12 with double strike. This would represent lethal damage. So we're going to cast our Selfless Squire, and prevent all that damage and get a really big Selfless Squire. And best of all, because it has flash and we're playing it during our opponent's turn, they don't really have a chance to respond since they're tapped out, and we're going to be able to tag them for a bunch of damage on the way back.
13 Selfless Squire. Yeah, that moment's pretty cool. And then we cast Aurelia, we go on the big attack, opponent gets melted. Actually, there's a couple things in this game. So 1, there was a Selfless Squire, which is a card I don't run anymore. 2, there was an active Emeria. 3, we got a Mask of Memory in there somewhere. That's like a lot of things went really good this game. So anyway, that was the very first game on the channel. It's still up. You guys can go watch the whole thing if you want. It'd be funny to compare my personality from then to now, because I was definitely more tame on the mic back then. But that's where it all started. Shieldred, video number 3. This was the first video that I casted live.
Oh, fuck, I fucked up that doubling cube pretty bad.
Ha! That's me swearing, is what that is. I think this is the last time I really swore on video. So one of the weird decisions you have to make as a content creator early on is like, are you Saffron Olive or are you Pleasant Kenobi? Like, do you swear in your videos? I just decided that I would be clean on camera, and that's worked out because YouTube has really kind of clamped down on swearing in videos. Like, F words in the first minute of the video can be a problem if you want to keep your video monetized. So it's probably a good thing that I've been pretty clean my entire career. Although I do swear a lot on Twitter, so that is what it is. Anyway, this looks like some fun here. We got a Crypt Rats with Luxodon Warhammer and a Nightmare Lash on it. That's a good time. Yeah, burned everyone out with the Crypt Rats and Luxodon Warhammer. I love it. We're up to 118. Fantastic. Those 2 videos still mean a lot to me. Moving on. This is a standard game right here. I was playing Red Deck Wins in standard. That is one of the last times that I played any serious amount of standard. Actually, I'm just kind of curious. I'm going to take a quick peek at this game real quick.
Today,
standard replay. Nice. I'm funny. Is this the deck that I was thinking it is? There was a deck around this point in time. Maybe it was earlier. Maybe it was the year prior. There was an era of Red Deck Wins that no one was playing Red Deck Wins.
Safest thing to do is going to be to ping and use this shock to blow up the Voltaic Brawler.
I guess we can make this full screen. This was a really cool incarnation of Red Deck Wins, and I actually destroyed Magic Online for a month with this deck, because everyone was playing black-white mid-range and all this mid-range stuff, and you could just go under them so easily. And the spells were so good. You had Collective Defiance. You had the, I think Dark Dweller Goblin or something that recast a spell. Oh, it was a cool deck. I had considered building that deck for a game day and trying to spike the game day and, win myself that sweet playmat. I do have the Dark Ascension Game Day Champion playmat, which I also won with Red Deck Wins. Oh, let's see what else I remember here. Nicole Bowl lost the Mindslaver. That's got 9,000 views. That's a crap ton of views. That's actually one of the last times I really played Mindslaver or Worst Fears, because I did it one time and then I realized that this feels terrible for your opponents. And I was a spiky player 10 years ago. I am not that spiky now. I mean, I still want to win, but I want people to be able to play the game also. So that's kind of my whole thing. But here's one. This one I do remember. So the Emrakul video. I do remember a few things about this. One, I did a bad job with the thumbnail here. The image is stretched out in a weird way. So still had some things to figure out with my thumbnail game. But 18,000 views. That is more than 90% of the videos on this channel. I do remember when this video came out, it did really, really well. I think also because I think this was right around the time that it got banned in standard. And so it was just in the news cycle, and it was a popular search, and it was kind of everywhere. And this video took off. And I remember the growth from this video because, when you have 20 subscribers or something, having a video do really well is very exciting. When you have 20 subscribers and you gain 20 or 30 more subscribers or whatever. Actually, we can take a look. We have those numbers. 82 subscribers. That is a massive amount of subscribers for a single video. Most videos generate 0 to 2 for me, which is, not the best, but that video performed extremely well. Maybe not the best business decision I ever made. That it took me 5 years to circle around to playing this deck again. And in that time, playing colorless decks got a lot worse. At this time, you weren't like that far behind with colorless, but all the tools that everything, like all the card draw, I feel like it's mostly the card draw. Everyone just has card draw now, and that's kind of crazy. Here's the first video of Weapons of War. So, one, I needed a catchy name for the deck, and I wanted to like signify that it was an equipment deck, and I actually like that name a lot. Speaking of names, it is a lucky happenstance that 6 years later, I still like my channel name, Commander Replay, because I know content creators that after a year or two, they're like, man, our channel name kind of sucks. Now we're stuck with it. So it is a happy accident that, because I really didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the channel name at all. I'm like, crap, I gotta call this channel something. I play Commander and I show replays. Commander Replay. Got it. And I did actually have that moment, like after the third or fourth video or whatever it was, where I'm like, should I change the name if I'm no longer doing replays? And I'm glad I didn't. Glad I didn't. Anyway, I would love to do an update on this deck. The question you run into, so the problem you run into with Aurelia now is you have to decide if you're running the infinites or not. And at this time, infinites were still kind of frowned upon, largely by the community. Now I would say it's half and half, and just sort of depends on what table you're playing at. Some tables you want those infinites, other ones you don't. This was a fun moment in time. So this is back when I was still trying to cover like Magic news a little bit, and I covered all the bans that were going on, and there were like, look at these. These are all in the span of like 2 weeks or something. All these cards got banned. And I remember making a joke about it in the video. These have done okay since. This one did terrible. But at some point, I realized that, like, you guys just want to watch me call games. And me doing other stuff is just not what people are here for. Though I dip my toe in every once in a while. But usually that's met with poor results. And so for the most part, I try to stay in my lane, which is calling games. Playing games, calling games. Next up, we have this Atraxa video. This one I remember pretty well. We got to watch this Atraxa video. So there is some interesting stuff. There's some fun stuff. There's some cool
Today
stuff.
on Commander Replay, Atraxa must overcome her greatest challenge yet. She must overcome herself. Watching this mirror match
I'm so dramatic.
of Atraxa versus Atraxa versus Atraxa, and find out who will win in a battle which there can be no winners.
Nice. Okay, so one player scoops. It was apparently a Gave opponent. Oh, by the way, these games were not rendered in 1080. That didn't happen until I think like a year or two into the channel. So they look terrible. Oh yeah, this is the play. So I still think about this play sometimes. Opponent has Atraxa, Odric Lunarch Marshal, and a Blightsteel Colossus, and there's Lightning Greaves on the Atraxa. So yeah. Shroud, Haste, Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink,
Vigilance, Death Touch, and
Infect doesn't spread, I don't think, but as good as this board state was that I had right here, I remember being very scared about the Blightsteel Colossus with 1 million keywords on it.
but having Trample with Death Touch is
also a funny story. So it used to be that like if you installed an update on Magic Online, it would turn all the sounds back on. So that's why all the game sounds are on in this video, because I almost exclusively have them off because the sounds in this game are horrendous. But yeah, I remember getting really nervous about that Blightsteel Colossus. Oh, yeah. I do think I pulled this one out, though. Yep, so chumped with 1 million zombies.
Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample, and...
Anyway, that was a cool moment. There was a moment in that game somewhere, too, I remember, where one of the other Atraxas proliferated some of my stuff, and it was just fun. It was one of those, like, Spiky trying to win, and, like, then I just had to, like, smile and kind of remember that, like, this game is fun sometimes. Oh, we need to take a look at this one. Sidisi Bancard Tribal. This is an interesting game because... So here's the backstory. The backstory for this game is that Magic Online was trying to push 1v1 competitive Commander, and they want it to be like a sanctioned event on MTGO. And so they made their own ban list for that format, and then applied that ban list to the multiplayer format. A whole bunch of cards on the ban list in multiplayer were then legal, and so I jammed them all into this deck, and everyone was super upset about this happening back in the day, but this was actually a really good experiment because I got to play a lot of the banned cards, and I think if they did something like this again where cards were unbanned for like a month, that would calm a lot of the chatter about like unbanned Primetime, unbanned Coalition Victory, like whatever other dumb stuff is on there that just like completely destroys games. So anyway, whenever this comes up about unbanning primetime in like Twitter discussions or something like that, I have this screenshot saved. Oh god, I wish I rendered this in 1080. Here's my turn 5 in this game.
Get another Sidisi trigger, and we'll get a primetime trigger as well. I didn't really pack the deck full of super interesting lands to go find, so I put this deck together kind of quickly, so that is definitely an area where I could upgrade, but again, this is a limited time sort of thing where this ban list won't be around for very long. They will be switched.
So the end of my turn 5, I have 11 lands in play. This is why primetime is banned. And none of these are even particularly interesting. You start throwing like coffers with the Zerborg, or Strip Mine Wasteland, or any number of other things. Dark Depths Thespian Stage. You then realize how busted primetime is. People are like, oh, it'd be fine. It's not fine. I have 11 lands on turn 5, and I did like very little to achieve that. I do have a screenshot of this, and I do show it to people periodically to remind them what happens when primetime is legal in a game. There's some other weird stuff in this game, too, where I think I cast, like, Sway of Stars or something like that. Yeah, I have this, like, clearly winning board state, and then... Oh, God, an Ugin. And then I cast Sway of the Stars, which I remember being really weird, and I think I actually lost the game because I cast the Sway of the Stars, but it was an interesting game nonetheless, and it just, like, it proves that, like, no, primetime should not be legal, because it's still just completely busted. It's like Dockside Extortionist, except the treasures are lands, and they don't go away. The first time I played Neheb. Yeah, Neheb was, like, super popular. This one did pretty well. I played it a second time. Ooh, the first run of Gishath. I got hit with a copyright thing because I was using all the music. I had to not monetize that video because I had stuff from the movie in it. Ooh, this is the announcement for the EDH Lounge. That isn't the first episode. We'll talk about the episode when we get to it. This is a cool thing I did. This was Innistrad Draft Memory vs. Reality. So I had drafted a ton of Triple Innistrad back when it came out, and then again, every year when they do it around Halloween for the flashback draft, I would draft a lot of it. And I realized that, like, a lot of games come down to Color Screw and Mana Screw in Triple Innistrad Draft. Very rarely would a game go to you outplayed your opponent. Like, it's like, who drew their lands, who didn't draw their lands, right? That's kind of how a lot of those games ended, so I do remember that. First episode of the EDH Lounge. Wait, is that the first one? No, that might be the second one. Oh, the first one I think must have been on Jolt's channel. Yeah, that's probably what happened. I think the first one was probably on Jolt's channel, because obviously I played Aurelia. I don't remember if I won that one or not, but I do remember, so the channel growth was starting to die off at this point. Now, roughly 10 months into the channel, and I was really starting to have some doubts about whether I should keep going or not, because it's like, it's a lot of work to do these things, and when you're not getting traction, it does not feel good. And Jolt reached out to me about the EDH Lounge. I jumped in. It turned out to be one of the best things for the channel, because I was seriously thinking about throwing in the towel at that point, and from doing that first EDH Lounge episode, I think I gained like 150 subscribers when you're only at like maybe 100 or 200 subscribers anyway. That is a massive jump, and that momentum carried me for like the next 2 or 3 years, and is really what allowed the channel to become what it is. Without the EDH Lounge, it never would have happened like that, because I just wasn't getting the momentum. I wasn't getting the traction. So yeah, EDH Lounge was super important in the growth of this channel. Whenever people are like, whatever happened to the EDH Lounge, is like, man, everyone else had kids. They don't have the time anymore. And I would love to do one. Periodically, maybe once a year, I'll send everyone a message and be like, when we doing a reunion tour? And, they always want to, but I think everyone's schedules are just so tight now with kids and stuff that they can't really commit to it. Good old Ashling the Pilgrim. Yeah, I love me some Ashling. I've been on an Ashling resurgence over the past like 2 years or so after that really good game that I played in GP Vegas. It just reinvigorated my love for Ashling. Alicia, I've played a number of games with her and still never won one on camera. I've won a few off camera, and I've thought about revisiting her from time to time. You could probably do some much better stuff with her now, but oh man, I just want to win one on camera with her. That Balan video did pretty good, 13,000 views. That's more than everything around it. I remember this deck. So I actually built this deck in paper. Aurelia 45 creatures. This deck works beautifully until someone plays a board wipe and then you cry. Now, things were a lot different back then. This was December 2017. So this is right about the time they were starting to like push creatures really hard. You could rebuild this same deck now and cover all your bases much better. Like, you could have your ramp, your card draw, and like in particular your protection spells covered much better than you could at this point in time. And I've actually thought about doing 63 creature Aurelia, because like I definitely think I could do it and have it like sustain against board wipes now because of all the new goodies that exist. But I did learn a lot from the experience of building that deck of all creatures, and kind of understanding a lot about how weaknesses function, about how you need your permanent types to be spread around, because you don't want a single Blasphemous Act to just completely wipe you out. Aurelia's New Christmas Toys. This was a fun one where I basically just tried out a bunch of cards that I've been wanting to use with Aurelia that weren't like necessarily best in slot. Glorybringer was in there. Kristen played Glorybringer for years. I only used it on and off. I haven't run Glorybringer and Aurelia in a long time. You still could, and it's actually probably gained value because everything's gotten smaller. Because I run Flametongue Kavu, I know that 4 damage will kill 75% of the top commanders on EDH Rec. So that probably makes Glorybringer a lot better than it was. Ambassador Laquatus combo. Pretty sure I punted that combo. You guys know me, mono blue combos. Never works out that good. Oh, here we go. Dinosaur Week. This was another big moment for the channel. Maybe one of the biggest moments. Probably the second biggest moment after like the EDH Lounge thing, because like I said, almost threw in the towel at that point. But this is where that momentum really kind of took off. I did the Dinosaur Week videos, and like everyone loved those, and a lot of subscribers came into it. A lot of people just liked it. I liked it. I've had a lot of fun putting the videos together, throwing the dinosaur facts in there. And I do remember this is the week I got hit in the face with a softball. So I play softball. I've been playing semi-competitive softball for the last like 15 years, and I was running out of ground ball, and the first baseman didn't glove the ball, and it just hit me like square in the temple, and I had to leave the game with a concussion. It was like in the second inning or something like that of a doubleheader, and I was very upset because I had to miss the game and I couldn't play, and I had to take a day off from work and go get checked out, and they're like, "You have a concussion," and I'm like, that all sucks. Now I wear a helmet when I play. But yeah, there was a little break in the middle of Dinosaur Week because I got hit in the face and had like a giant lump like that. It's probably, I think.
Hey everyone, got some bad news.
Yeah, there's my face. That's my face. Destroyed. But yeah, Dinosaur Week was one of those things that like I'm still really proud of. I just liked. The vibe was cool. The videos were cool. Just everyone was having a good time with it. And I really liked that. Me and Jolt did this 1v1 right here, and I remember this because I still feel bad about it. I was thinking like, oh, 1v1. 1v1's pretty brutal. So I jammed a Winter Orb back into my deck, and I Winter Orb blocked Jolt, and he was not too thrilled about it. Sorry, Jolt. This is the second time I played in a Heb. This one also did really well. So 2018 is when things were going awesome. This channel was growing at like a very sustainable rate. And if I were growing like that today, I'd probably still be able to do the channel full time. Sadly, that's not how things worked out. But yeah, 2018, things were going awesome. Actually, I can show you what that looks like. So here's views in 2018. So like, picking up into January, picking up, and then like right around like Dominaria and M19, I think it was M19, right? Just massive amounts of views coming in. This is, I mean, that's one day. You got 10,000 views in a day, right? So this is like 2018, 2019, things are going really well. End of 2019, it was September 2019 that like I had a big drop off. I remember every YouTube channel had a big drop off at this time because I was like looking at all the stats a lot, and I had a big drop off. Most channels had a big drop off. I think there was a change to the YouTube algorithm at that point that like deprioritized gaming a little bit in conjunction with people go back to school and, you know, all the kind of seasonal stuff with Magic. And other people's channels rebounded. Mine never really did. That started the downward slide that kind of continued into present day. So I've unfortunately never been able to get back to 2018, but oh, would I love to. That'd be so cool. There is something to say, like, I think I've talked about this here or there, that when things are, it's much easier to make videos when things are going well. You do need to prepare for when things are not going well mentally, because it does become challenging and it starts to feel like work, and there isn't that excitement there. Like there isn't a hunger for your content. You need to figure out who you are inside to be able to manage that and like still be able to put out content and like not hate yourself in the process. It's a whole thing. Anyway, moving on. First episode of Tribal Wars. Yeah, I remember that. This one did pretty well for the time. Maybe it kind of didn't hold up over the years, but Angels, Knights, Samurais. Yeah, that did really well. It was my Red White Angel deck tech, so I think this is the only video I've ever done like this.
Today,
Some nice mana rocks going.
We're actually looking at the deck and doing all that. This is a complete pain in the butt to set up. Oh god, to get the audio right. So the audio from the camera that I use to do this does not pick up well, right? So you have to like do everything in voiceover afterwards, and it took way longer than I would have hoped. But the Red White Angels deck is one of my favorite decks that I've ever built. Top 3 probably that I am most proud of, because at the time no one was playing Red White Angel Reanimator. Like no one was playing like white Reanimators at all, really, and especially Angel Reanimator. And I just had this idea one day where I'm like, the pillars of this deck will be board wipes, wheels, and reanimation. And I'm like, maybe this will work, maybe it won't. Don't be afraid to fail. Let's go. And I played it, and I'm like, oh, there's some legs here. This deck is good. Because it solved a lot of the card draw stuff that Boros has notoriously struggled with, especially at this point in time, because of the wheels. And even to this day, that deck does not play like a Boros deck because of the wheels. Like, you disrupt people's hands a lot. You're able to refill. It's not like a typical Boros deck where you just come out swinging for the fences. You can hang back with that deck and then, like, use a quick Silver Amulet to get a Karmic Guide to get something else. And then at the end step, you've built the giant army that people can't really respond to. There's a lot of cool tricks in that deck, and I absolutely love that deck. Ooh, played one game of Arena. How about that? Oh, the Rexiel game. We got to watch this one. This one did really well and was also like one of the most exciting games I think I've ever played.
today on Commander Replay.
So skip a few, skip a few, skip a few. Here's what the board state looks like.
Oh, that's a
We're at 9 life. There's a board wipe.
Crux of Fate.
So opponent casts this Primal Surge right here.
For our opponent, let's see if it hits their entire deck. Oh, actually, yeah.
Opponent proceeds to put their entire deck into play, as you do.
So opponent's down to 1 card in library. Hopefully they accidentally draw with their Soul of the Harvest by accident and deck themselves.
So opponent recasts their commander with no cards in library and a Zendikar Resurgent. Zendikar Resurgent is not a May. They ended up decking themselves from this position.
Went back down.
All they had to do was not cast their commander, and they would have won this, and I think I went on to win this one. Yeah, opponent was super low on life. We had the active Bloodchief Ascension, and I cracked a Strip Mine to shoot a land to kill them with the life loss. It was kind of a cool win. I don't know that I've done that a lot of other times, but yeah, that game really sticks out in my memory. I do remember that one. Yeah, 37 subscribers. That's not bad. It's not bad for a video. Holy crap, this Lyra Dawnbringer video got 20,000 views. That's insane. That I actually don't remember. Usually I remember when a video does that well. This one I do remember. This is Hyper Aggressive Edgar Markov. This is or was the most viewed video on the channel. I have some shorts now that have surpassed it, but this is the most viewed gameplay, like full-length gameplay that I've ever done. 45,000 views. And here's what's weird about it. This deck really does not hold up in today's day and age, and that makes me sad. I wish you could still play this deck this way. It's one of those weird moments where, like, you don't get to pick the video that, like, is your best video. That gets decided on by everyone else. It's not your choice. It's like, it's this weird thing in content creation. It's true in, like, music and, like, other kind of creative endeavors, too, that, like, you don't really get to pick your magnum opus, and it's kind of strange, right? Because this is not the deck that I would have said, like, oh, this one should get all the views, right? Like, I'd probably point you to, like, Aurelia or Tap Creature Tribal or, you know, Angel Reanimator, you know, one of those decks that I'm, like, really, really proud of. This deck, like, I love what the video did, but I'm like, you can't really play this deck anymore, so I feel very weird about it. So this is getting into Dominaria. Things were going really well at Dominaria. I remember I was on vacation when I released this video, because things were going so well that I'm like, I didn't want to take time off for vacation. We just got to keep the videos going. Look, Multani, 14,000 views. Yeah, this was when things were hopping. This is the one. This is the first time I ran into a competitive Godo list, and we just got demolished in like 3 or 4 turns. I had never realized Godo could be that fast because it was the first time I had seen it. This was shortly after Helm of the Host came out. EDH Lounge Tribal Wars. Oh yeah. Who did I play? Knights. I played Knights in that one. Nice. Here's what's crazy to think about. Like, up until last summer, Fallen Kingdom was the newest Jurassic Park movie, and that's like 5 years old, right? Because I remember doing this. This was like the update. This was the quote-unquote newer version of Gishath. And I'm like, oh, wow, that was kind of a while ago. This Lathless video, look at that, 18,000 views. 70 subscribers. That is really good. Kothoped 6-drop Tribal. I was originally going to call this deck 666 Tribal, except I got like weirdly spiritual before doing that. And I'm like, just in case. We want to be careful with our immortal soul here. I changed the name for that reason, but I did put Bruce Dickinson in the thumbnail because I thought it'd be funny. I don't think anyone got that reference at all, but it made me laugh. It was a fun deck. Oh, it was one of the first... no, it wasn't the first time. Was it the first time? Is this the first time I played Najeela? Because the first time I played Najeela, I'm like, wait a second. Oh, yeah, no. Is this broken, right? Yeah, no, that is the first time I played it. I'm like, I think this card might be busted. And everyone was in the comments like, yeah, no, this card is busted. Like, this card's insane. And she is still one of the strongest commanders in all of competitive Commander. Weapons of War updates. So 2018, this is around when we're starting to get like much better equipment cards. So it actually became like difficult to stay on top of the updates, especially by the time like Commander Legends rolled around, which I think was a little bit later in the year. Vavictus Surge, I remember this one. I chug a can of Surge on camera. Do not do that. I had got the worst stomach ache and could not sleep at all that night. I felt terrible. Do not chug a can of Surge. Funny story, the can of Surge that I bought came in a 4-pack, and I still have 2 of those left from, when is this, August 2018? I dare one of you to drink one of them. It's probably so flat. Withingar Unbound. Love Withingar Unbound. It got a lot easier when they printed Sisay, because you could just, like, do it all with Sisay very easily. This is the game. I remember this game. So, Tajik Game 2 right here. This is the game where basically I made all my land drops, and there was a mono black deck at the table that I think landed a doubler and no one did anything about it. It was a Razaketh deck, so, God. And that was where I learned that, like, you need to ramp in a game of Commander, because I had made all my land drops through turn 7 or turn 8, and still it was not enough mana to be able to sustain the game and win the game. And for the year following after this, from this point on, I really started running a lot more mana ramp. And because, you know, like when I talk to Patreon, some of them in a lower power deck, they'll be like, oh, I'm running like 8 or 9 pieces of ramp. I'm like, yeah, the reason I won that game is because I'm running like 15. And it's not that I need all 15 of them. It's that you need to make sure you draw at least 1 or 2 of them, and like decent ones along the way, because if you don't ramp, it's almost impossible to win now. And this was the first game where I really learned that lesson. This Mazarek deck was really cool. I would love to play that again if I ever had the time. Mazarek was a cool commander that got very overlooked because of Marin. I remember this one. This is the one with I interspersed it with some Gladiator clips. I remember experimenting with this font. This font was awful. It's so bad to read. Oh, this video. Yeah, this video. How'd this video do performance-wise? I'm just curious. 50 subscribers. Not bad. So, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this video. I am probably a little harsh in my assessments against the Command Zone, but the Command Zone were also very harsh against Boros. But here's why I feel even more weird about it. Because the Command Zone is so big, and because they have the eyes and ears of so many people, when they say Boros sucks, people hear it. And for me, it was a pain in the butt at the time, because I'd be at the shop, like, playing Aurelia, and everyone's like, oh, Boros sucks, and then I would just wreck them. And, like, I was having to fight, like, what they were saying, kind of hitting the echo chamber, and, like, people that haven't played enough to kind of see what's what. And yeah, it was a weird thing to go through, because, like, I was championing Boros, and you have these YouTubers that are much bigger than me, saying that it's terrible, don't play it. And, you know, that's what's kind of getting into everyone's ear. And then, like, watch me school all you guys with it because you guys think it's awful. But if they didn't do that, I don't think the Boros cards that we have now get printed, right? And because their voices are so big, when they call a problem out like that, people at WotC hear it. And shortly after this, they started designing really good Boros cards, right? Like a card like Brunor probably doesn't happen without Josh saying Boros sucks. And fighter class and, you know, all the free equips, right? Like all the free equips happened after this video, basically. And, you know, there's development time for WotC, which is like a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. But, you know, like when you fast forward into like 2019, after this video, that's when all the really good Boros stuff starts showing up. And, you know, they had a lot to do with it. And like, yeah, I feel weird about it because at this point in time, I was like pretty upset about it. And that probably leaks through in the video a little bit. But also, I do remember my main point in the video. So the data that they gathered for their big study that they did, and that study was pretty cool because there's like a lot of very interesting things that came out of that study. But the problem is that most of the Boros decks that got played were all commanders that were recently released. So Depala was one of them. Firesong and Sunspeaker was another. And I forget what the third one was, but it was another like D tier Boros commander that's just like, that one's not that good. And those made up like, I think like half of the overall Boros videos in the stats. So of course those decks lost because Depala is a super hard commander to make work. Firesong and Sunspeaker is like pretty hard. It's like D plus maybe. There's so much timing involved with that commander and keeping them alive. They're just hard mode commanders where like there was like one or two Aurelias in there. No Gisellas. Like I promise, if you play Gisella in the command zone, you will win. You will win games. Gisella is so insanely strong, right? There was not like a lot of Akiri Bruce, who was super strong. So just like they did the best they could with the data they had, but like I felt like I had to defend my colors in a sense that the data wasn't a big enough sample size to really get a true understanding of everything that's going on. Because yes, Depala is going to lose a lot of games, right? We know that. So yeah, a lot of interesting feelings about this video. I've actually debated taking this video down. I don't think I've taken down any of my videos. There's a few videos I would consider taking down, like a few from the very early days, like some of the talking videos that were just like, this is pointless now. That is also one because I do have like weird feelings about just the message that I'm delivering, the way I delivered it. But for now it remains up. So if you want to watch it, have at it. This was a fun moment. I bought a bunch of cards from my Elish Norn deck and forgot to order the Elish Norn. Here's the thing too. Look at the dates of these videos. Like this is like every few days, like very consistent upload schedule. I was still working a full-time job at this point. I quit my full-time job in January of 2019. Which is still a few more videos away here. There was a turn 3 Aurelia in that video. Yeah, that one was crazy. Calamity Powerful Voltron Stacks. That was an interesting game. I would love to revisit this. You know, I was very curious about, like, what could you actually do with Calamity? And Calamity at the time was one of your better Voltron options. Now you have Brunor, and Brunor is insane. You also have Rayev, which is crazy too. Aurelia is also still insane. Everything is really strong now, but yeah, that was a cool game. I was sad because Calamity got shot in that game, and I never got it back into play because I think I drew like an Elish Norn or something, and just like, well, I guess we'll finish this game with an Elish Norn. Yeah, look at this. This is like December 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th. Yeah, I am really burning the candle at both ends right here. I am very tired. I'm basically, all right, so here's the snapshot of my day. I'm getting up at like 7 a.m., posting the video from the night before, getting to work, going to work all day. I get home at like 6 o'clock because I live far away from work and there's a ton of traffic in Austin. I would make dinner and spend time with my girlfriend at the time, now ex. That would probably go until she went to bed around like 10:30. From like 10:30 to about midnight, 12:30, I would edit these videos and then, you know, post them the next morning, do it all again. I was exhausted. And this is where it's tricky, right? So, no, maybe, yeah, so right around here, I think it was January like 15th or 19th or something like that was my last day at my job. And so right after this is when I go full time. Oh, it was the first ETB creature. I remember I messed up the upload on that video, and I think I shot myself in the foot by doing that. Yeah, try not to re-upload if you don't have to. You know, if your video goes out with mistakes, you're probably better off just leaving the mistakes. And I remember this game. I built the Sunforger deck and forgot to put the Sunforger in. Oops. This is the first time I really played a lot of Smothering Tithe. I was starting to get the sense of like, I think Smothering Tithe is really strong. And yeah. Now we know that, like, It's probably ban worthy. Some of you will argue with me with that, but like, it's too good. It's too good. Yeah, now we're seeing like multiple videos. No, it's the same one. Oh yeah, no. One of this is the countdown, one's the gameplay. Yeah, so you're starting to see like multiple videos in a day at some points here, and really pushing hard. Trying to build the channel, get all the videos out, do the thing. I wrote Giant Tribal. Yeah, that was always a fun one. Missed that one. Love to play that again. Yidris Ogre Tribal. That's one that I want to revisit, actually. I think someone comboed off in this game. Didn't really get to do my ogre sweetness. Oh, yeah. April did a Diablo 2 video. Got 1,500 views. How about that? A lot of comments. I've thought many times about switching to D2 content, but then I decide against it because Magic is a game that I can play as much as I played Magic. Diablo 2 is not a game that I can play that much. It's a binge-heavy game for me. I play hard for like a month, and then I don't play it for like a year or two. Ooh, Feather. Yep, so this is when Feather first got released. Feather is the second most played commander on this channel behind Aurelia. I think I'm around 20 Feather videos, give or take. And she still remains one of the most popular Boros commanders, and just a cool card overall. Oh yeah, this was the end of Game of Thrones here, so I was kind of doing this Game of Thrones theme. God, is that long ago now? Bunch of Feather, yeah. Feather first, wow, 17,000 views. This is actually a really good video. 5 tips to cut your deck down to 100 cards. This is how I would go about deck building. I wish I called this something better at the time, because I wish I also made the video shorter. But I did do like an updated take on this later. I forget what I called it, but this is a really good. The numbers might change a little bit since it's been a few years since this thing came out, but yeah, this was a very good instructional video. Because I would talk about like cutting by CMC. Not everyone was doing that at this point, and probably a lot of people still don't do it, but this was a fun game. There were 2 Sun Forgers in this game. I remember that one. The Party Foul game, I remember too. We were playing 4 Boros decks, and I dropped an Iona, and everyone cried. And so there's the thing to talk about. Where's the Iona ban? That's probably not too far away. Yeah, we'll get to the Iona ban. Let's get to the Iona ban. Legendary Blades. Love me Legendary Blades. Oh my god. I gotta talk about this game. No, it's not in this video. Okay, so one of the coolest plays that never got to happen that would have been so insanely awesome. I was facing an opponent. They played a Storm Herd. They made 28 tokens or whatever it was. They attacked me. I played an Arachnogenesis, making that many tokens. The game crashed before I could do this, but my next play was going to be to Kindred Summons and then get all of the spiders in my deck and put them into play, and it was going to be awesome. I have not been able to recreate that play since, and it has made me very sad because it was a super cool thing, and I'm so sad the game crashed. Anyway, this Iona video. So we'll talk about Iona for a minute. This is actually a pretty funny video. Maybe we'll bring it up while we do it.
Commander ban list and philosophy update. Iona Shield of Emeria banned? What? No! I run that card.
Cue the Sarah McLachlan. Oh god, I'm gonna get demonetized. So thoughts on Iona. At the time, I was very upset about the Iona ban. Now that I look back on it, I ruined a lot of what would have been fun games otherwise with Iona. That 4X Boros game dropped in Iona. I remember just playing some kids at the shop, just completely blocked out the red deck. Just so many times. Actually, there's one really fun one. I was playing a 5-player game of Sheriff, and there was a blue player at the table, so naturally the blue player didn't attack anything all game, so I didn't have a great idea of whose team they were on. They were trying to execute a combo to win the game. I Quicksilver amuleted in Iona, naming blue, to stop that, which prevented them from winning the game, which then also got us all killed. And we ended up losing the game. So now I could be upset about losing the game, but it was actually like an awesome story. Like, but even then, right? Like it's Iona. So anyway, I have ruined a lot of good games with Iona. I get why it's banned. Now that Iona's been gone for a while, because the biggest problem is if you aren't locked by Iona, you have no reason to get rid of the Iona other than it might be attacking you, right? So like the other player or two who are locked out by it, you're just like, oh, well, they can't do anything now. I'm just going to leave them where they are, right? So yeah, I get why she's gone. Would I love Iona to come back? Maybe. I always wanted to put a Helm of the Host on her and get all 5 colors and do that kind of silliness. But yeah, I get why she's gone. And I'm not upset about it anymore, and I understand. I do remember this Marchesa Death Render deck. I need to run more Death Render. Death Render is a card that I love. Used to play it a lot in Casual Extended. Actually, I had a Death Render deck back then. And it's just something I need to run more in Commander. I always kind of forget about it. Grenzo, Can I Borrow Your Stuff? This deck was by Zach Ryan, and his mono red playstyle is very different than mine, and I've learned about a lot of cool cards from his deck list, because a lot of his deck lists are just like, I'm going to steal your stuff and win the game with your cards, and he's got some really weird stuff in there. I think one of the big takeaways is like Mob Rule, how strong Mob Rule can actually be. Mob Rule is one of the most efficient win conditions relative to its cost, and I mean like paper cost. For less than $1, if you're some sort of aggressive deck with like a damage doubler or an Aurelia or whatever, like you can kill one or more players, maybe a table, right? Mob Rule's an insane card. I played the Siege Rhino deck. Someone sent me this, and I think it was Banana maybe, and it was based on Saffron Olive's 32 Rhinos deck, which is one, I mean, that's one of his classic decks as far as I'm aware. I haven't watched Saffron Olive in a very long time. I should point that out. A lot of what I do on this channel, or at least when I started, was very much inspired by Saffron Olive. I was watching a lot of MTG Goldfish when I started the channel, when I was at my full-time job, when I needed something to keep me sane in the background. Since then, I don't really watch other people's content that much anymore, unless something like really kind of interested to me pops across my radar. Usually someone playing a Boros Commander, maybe. But yeah, for the most part, I don't watch a lot of other content now, just because I'm already spending so much time each week filming games, editing games, posting the games. I've already reached my limit of magic time for the week, so you just want to think about other things at some point. I remember this Fall of the Hammer game. This really goes to show about like how strong repeatable removal is. And repeatable removal is something that I've really kind of like latched onto a lot more recently. By the way, if my glasses are crooked, it's because I went to a metal concert and I was in the pit. They got knocked off my face, someone stepped on them, and they got bent real bad. And even though they fixed them, they're still a little crooked. It's about time for new ones anyway, but yeah. If any of you are OCD and it's been driving you crazy, that's why. Drives me a little crazy too. The Sylvia and Corvath game is a high power game, and it says, "Where's the land now?" I wanted to call this Weapons of Mass Land Destruction. YouTube would not let me call it that. It was going to demonetize the video, so I was very sad about that. Still trying with Leisha. Can't get it to work. Maybe someday. Adventure Tribal was one of the first times I had the idea of like, let's just take the new set mechanic and just jam them all into one deck. And it was actually pretty cool. I still do that from time to time with new sets. This is a fun video. I should shout this one out. So, former Patreon supporter, longtime follower, Glenn, went through the channel up to this point and noted the colors of every deck that I played. And up to that point, I had never played a Teamer deck on camera. And there's a few others, like a lot of the 4-color ones I'd only played maybe 1 or 2 times. Up to that point, Bant, I've played very little. And thanks to Glenn for providing those stats, because it's actually a really cool thing to look at that must have taken some time to do. So I do appreciate that, and got some cool content out of it. So then I played the Teamer deck right here. If I remember right, 1 hour, 14 minutes. This is one of the longest gameplays on the channel. So like some of the streams and stuff might go that long, but like for an edited gameplay to go that long, that was a really long game. Atraxa Horror Tribal. I would love to revisit that one. The Voltron Sucks Rafik deck. Yeah, with enough stacks. Yeah, I mean, you could still build like a very near CEDH, tier 2 CEDH type thing with this deck. I'd be curious to see what you could do with it now, because since 2019, there's just been more and more powerful stuff printed. Lots of Sir Gwyn played over the years. Really wish Sir Gwyn was either 5 mana or had haste. Those are the 2 things that it's really missing. One or the other. Altars. I tried to do a video just like showcasing fun altars, and that video did terrible. I love altars. Absolutely love them. Apparently not everyone else loves them as much as I do. Makes me sad. The 3 things mono white needs badly. I remember this. So this was right after Throne of Eldraine came out, and there was a lot of focus on like the white cards being much worse than all the other cards, particularly there's a couple cycles in that set. The Great Henge being one of the notable ones. The Great Henge is insane, and Circle of Loyalty is like almost unplayable. Anyway, Pleasant Kenobi launched a video like maybe that week, same day, right around then. I'm like, crap, I'd been thinking about doing this video for like 2 years, so I'm like, I need to get this video done. Launch this video. I'm really proud of this video. There's some really cool stuff in here, and I still stand by everything that I say in this video, including the card designs. And 2, this video did really well views-wise, which is, again, very exciting. 154 subscribers. That might be the most off any single video. Other than like a short, maybe. Yeah, if every video did like this, this channel would be very different. But yeah, that's one of my prouder works. That is actually a time where like the video that I put a lot of time and effort into did really well. So you can appreciate that. Yarok Allies I need to revisit. That is a silly deck. This is the first time that I showed up in a thumbnail. Maybe this is right here. Yeah, these are the first times that I showed up in thumbnails. Funny story about this video. So these were the commanders that the professor quote unquote failed. And I did like kind of a rebuttal video. It's tongue in cheek, right? I'm not like trying to start beef with the professor. But one of them is the Unspeakable. And someone I remember commented on this video saying, quote, "This is literally the only content on the Unspeakable on YouTube." And I'm like, awesome, man. Hope you enjoy it. I don't think I had the deck list for it for that one because someone else played it. But, you know, I appreciated them for stopping by and checking out the video. I played Tell 'em Tor, which is, it's not that great. Run anything beside Tell 'em Tor. But yeah, this is where I started showing up in the thumbnails for a little bit. And this actually, believe it or not, when I showed up in the thumbnails, you'd get about 20-25% more views. So, you know, if you guys are sick of like content creators doing like surprised face thumbnails, there's a reason they do them. You get more views. I personally hate like, one, the photos make me really self-conscious. You start like picking apart your appearance and doing a lot of things that are very bad mentally. Also why I don't like being on camera all that much, because I've never really adjusted to it. Because I don't do it that often. And 2, it is actually just a pain in the butt to like trim yourself out and like, you know, crop yourself and do all the stuff. And like light reflects off my head because I'm bald. So like it's actually hard to find like the edge of my head versus what is the white wall behind me kind of thing. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So I did them for a while, and this is back when I was still doing the channel full time at this point. So, you know, I could, because you probably take an extra 45 minutes or so to make the thumbnail, doing some of this stuff. And now, especially, I just don't have that kind of time, right? And like the views have kind of gotten low enough where like an extra 25%, though it would be nice, isn't really that much. So for the time being, I am not showing up in the thumbnails. Maybe that'll change again someday. If I'm doing a video that I think is gonna do really well, like if I'm doing like a talking video or something, I might pop in the thumbnail periodically. But at some point in the life of this channel, I needed to switch to paper gameplay. And having done a few paper gameplays last year, I realized that like that point has already passed. Like it is too late to jump ship and go do that, which is unfortunate. And because Magic Online just does not get the love. And it sucks because is it perfect? No, it's not a perfect system, but it is cool because you get to see a lot of different cards. Like I would never be able to afford to buy all the cards that I show you guys in paper, right? That'd be so insanely expensive. Where on Magic Online, like I have one copy of almost every staple. So like whenever I build a new deck on Magic Online, it usually costs me less than $1 to get all of the cards that are missing. And that is really sustainable. Would not be able to do that in paper. It's just like way, way too expensive. This is a cool thing I did. Is this April 1st? Yeah, this is another April Fool's video. This was during the pandemic. And I decided to pull all of the music videos from my phone and just release a video concert scrapbook. This video was more for me than it was for anyone else. You know, if you like any of the same bands that I do, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a lot of punk bands, a lot of metal bands. It's kind of the gist of what's in there. There's some Celine Dion at the end. That was Celine Dion and Sarah McLachlan were the last 2 concerts I went to right before the pandemic. And then I didn't get to go to concerts for a while. But yeah, there's some cool stuff in here. And I just thought I'd throw it all together. Boro's player reaction to the Command Zone. This was an interesting video. So this is the only video I've ever done like this. I've thought about doing more of these. It just... I've actually filmed the second one, I think, twice. And both times something went wrong in the filming, so I didn't post either of them. Also, like, the Command Zone videos are so long, it's actually really difficult to, like, cut these things down to a reasonable length, which is probably part of the reason I haven't done it, but I wouldn't mind doing more of these. But again, I just don't have the time to watch other people's content, so to do that, I'd probably, like, have to watch the Command Zone videos, and then it's a time-consuming thing to do. I don't really know. Is there a drive? I think this video did okay, but it did fine. Yeah, it did fine. Yeah, I don't know. There might be more of them in the future, particularly like if there's Boros commanders showing up, but we'll see where I get to. It's not a high priority. I've got like a million other videos I want to do first, so. Oh god, this Zerda, wow, that's got a lot of views. This Zerda deck tech. I spent so long putting this together. There's a couple of mistakes in this video too, which kind of sucks. So basically over the course of like 24 hours, I did the gatherer search for every legal card that you could use with Zerda, and it's like 3,000 or 4,000 cards. And I scrolled through all of them twice, or maybe even 3 times, and then I saved pictures of them. It was terrible. It took so long. And, you know, by the end of it, that's how you start making mistakes, right? Because you're just like, oh god. My eyes were actually freaking out because it was just a lot to look at. But Zerda is a really cool commander with a lot of crazy stuff that you can do. Would love to build one on paper and just like jam all of that craziness into a deck, because it's actually pretty fun. Yeah, here's some paper EDH. Yeah, that one did terrible. So yeah, like there was a point at which I needed to switch to paper EDH, but it was already too late. Makes me sad. Seismic Bear Hunt. That was a fun deck. I've always wanted to play this one again. It's one of those one-trick pony kind of decks. There's the Flash band. God, Flash. Quick Flash story. There's a video somewhere in the channel. It's one of the Nagilas back in there where I won the game with 2 mana. I had like a land and a mana dork. And I'm just like, Flash? Hulk? Win game? Card was ridiculous. Volcano Tribal. I've played Volcano Tribal twice, and I'm sad that no one loves it as much as I do. Because, I don't know, it just makes me happy. The second one had some volcano facts in it. I don't know. Many people have asked about this. If I have a New to Magic Online video, I do. It's called New to Magic Online. So if you want to watch it, it's right here. I forget what I talk about, but some reasonable stuff in there. Spoiler for Keeper of the Accord. Keeper of the Accord's insane. There's a video we got to take a look at. Winota. Oh god, Winota. So strong. Now, I've played Gishath quite a few times on the channel, haven't I? I always remember this thumbnail. Very happy with how that thumbnail came out. Overrated cards that are underrated. This is me poking fun at everyone doing the overrated cards videos, and I definitely stepped on some toes with this video. I've stepped on toes a few times in my Commander career. It's happened. I am strong in my convictions, and that rubs people the wrong way sometimes. Then they don't want to work with me. Whoops. Oh, did I miss it? Where is it? Anyway, we need to talk about Tap Creature Tribal. So, Tap Creature Tribal is probably my favorite deck that I've ever built, even over Aurelia. I love Aurelia. Like, Aurelia is clearly number 2. But the story with Tap Creature Tribal is that, like, my second or third commander deck ever was Marike Rebarret. And I just had, like, kind of an Esper control deck. At some point, I was like, I want to make, like, a thing that cares about tapping with Marike. And then I did nothing about it for like almost a decade, like 2012 to 2020, right? That deck idea was just like sitting on the back burner. Leave it till mid-pandemic, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I've got the time to sit down and figure out how I'm going to do this deck. And it turned out to be probably my favorite deck ever. It's a value deck. It's weird. You get to run so many cards that people either haven't seen or haven't seen in like 20 years. And like, it's good. It's a good deck. Like, people hate playing against it because it generates a frustrating amount of value, and like also turns into a control deck a little bit if I get some of the destroy creatures and steal creatures stuff in play. Yeah, this is one of my proudest accomplishments as a deck builder, if not my proudest accomplishment as a deck builder. It's basically going to be like this, Angel Reanimator, and other Aurelia kind of duking it out for the top 3. One of the coolest decks I've ever built. This is me poking at Tomer right here, once again stepping on people's toes, as we talked about, as you do in the Magic community. He seems to have taken it in stride. I think he's doing just fine. This video, yeah, we got to take a look at this one. This is another one of my proudest moments also. The beginning half of this video is ridiculous. This is the Commander Legends preview spoiler cars. I spent so long making this thing, I spent probably 20 hours putting this video together. Let's sit back and enjoy part of it.
Get ready for the S2 Commander Legends Voltron Mega Sale Bonanza. Do you want Voltron? We've got Voltron. Take this beautiful 2020 Akiri Line Slinger, never been driven off the lot. It Voltrons, it partners, it's got vigilance.
It doesn't even tap.
And that's just the beginning. Do you need ramp? We got you covered. Drawing too many cards with Mask of Memory? No problem. Use Thought Vessel for no max hand size. Need colored mana? How about this Fire Diamond?
We got your mana covered.
I had a blast. Like, I was laughing hysterically while doing this video, especially once I got to the voiceover. I think I did the voiceover in like 2 takes. Like, I did it like pretty cleanly. I had a script written up for it, so I knew what I was going to say. But funny story in the video. So a lot of the B-roll footage in here. So this footage with the girl and this Honda Accord that's in a lot of the video. That girl in the video was trying to sell her like 96 Honda Accord or something like that. And her husband was a filmmaker and literally shot this like cinematic commercial to sell their car. And they sold it for like $500. I think in the thing he said he spent like a month editing the video. And like, I love the pure ridiculousness of it. Like, they clearly spent way too much time and effort making a video to sell this car. And then I just used it without their permission. That is one of the bright spots on this channel. That one always, I almost forgot about that one too. But that one always makes me laugh. I like how that came out. Overrated card tribal. This is once again me stepping on toes, but me schooling people with a deck made of overrated cards. Maybe they aren't that overrated after all. Jeskai Vigilance stacks. This was a cool deck. This was sent to me by a Patreon supporter. We talked about it in chat recently, and this was just a really cool deck. Like, I love it because it's one of those decks that's not built around doing the most obvious things with a commander. And the goal of the deck was really, they wanted to run Lightning Angel, and how do you make Lightning Angel good? It has Vigilance, you play a Vigilance deck, and then you play a bunch of things that prevent everyone's stuff from untapping. I really like it as a deck concept. I think it's cool. I was thinking about doing like a whole keyword series, but then I realized like all of the other keywords are very straightforward. Like, Trample is going to be green, and every green deck ever has Trample. Haste is going to be red, and like it would be just like a very generic red good stuff deck, right? Death Touch is a little bit interesting. There's some fun stuff to do with that. Zagras and Tetsamok and stuff like that. But it was a thought exercise that I went through, and I'm like, maybe that doesn't really like scale that well. But yeah, this was one of the more interesting decks that have ever been sent in to me. And, you know, somewhere along the way, I discovered that if you just build a deck from like EDH Rec and just kind of run like all the good stuff, you might have fun with it for a while. It might be cool. The decks that like you go out of your way to build because it's like off the beaten path, that like you have to do all the research. You're like, okay, what cards do I need? You're doing Scryfall and Gatherer searches, and you're like paying attention to what your opponents are playing. You're like, can I use that in my deck? Those are the decks that like you have forever. You never take those decks apart. For me, that's like Tap Creature Tribal, right? It like took so much research to put that deck together. And Jeskai Vigilance stacks is in that same vein where it's just a really cool deck concept, and I can't imagine they ever take it apart. And like, that's nothing against anyone that uses EDH Rec or anything, right? It's a very helpful tool, and I use it all the time. Just that, you know, when you have that like personal connection to the deck that you've built, and like now it's performing the way that you want it to perform, that is a really good feeling. Munda is better than you think. Yeah, I remember this. Okay, so what I was doing around here, I was on my quest to play every Boros commander, which I've since given up on. And I came reasonably close at one point, but they're printing so many of them every year that it is not easy to stay on top of. Also, the big problem, there's about 7 or 8 of them that aren't online, and I'm just not committed enough to build them all on paper because that takes so long. But at this point, I was trying to play all the Boros commanders, and when I stumbled onto Munda, I'm like, okay, let's focus up. Everyone says this commander's terrible, but if I really focus in, maybe I can build a decent Munda deck. And I went out there, I played a game, won the game in like maybe 7 turns. Played another game, won that game, won the next like 2 or 3 games that I played with it, and I'm like, I think there's something here. I think this deck's a lot better than people are giving it credit for. And to this day, people think that Munda is one of the worst Boros commanders. It is not. It's not one of the best. Like, it's middle of the pack, but it's about like a C tier, C plus tier commander. Whereas everyone thought it was literally the single worst, which is an honor that goes to Anya. Anya is the single worst Boros commander, and I know that will make some of you sad, and I'll probably get some hate comments for it, because I always do, but Anya gives you literally nothing in a game. But anyway, Munda is one of those, like, cool deck building achievements that I sort of unlocked for myself, and, you know, it made me rethink about how I evaluate stuff that, like, yeah, these things that you think might not be that good, if you focus in on them in the right way, you can turn them into strengths. Now, there needs to be, like, some amount of power there, right? Like, Munda's rally ability, it's not card draw, and you wish it was card draw, but, like, it's still a reasonably powerful effect, and it becomes useful late in the game when you're just trying to assemble the critical mass of creatures you need. And yeah, that was one that it's a fun deck to play, and it reshaped how I think about certain things and the ability to, like, focus in on quote unquote bad commanders and bad mechanics and whatever, and how to make them work. We're getting into Kaldheim here. Kaldheim was a cool set. Love me some Kaldheim. Top 5 overrated cards. This is another April Fool's video. These are actually the 5 cards I think should be banned. At that point in time, I'd probably change the list a little now. Smothering Tide and Dockside would be on there. This is an Augusta deck. I want to play Augusta again. Augusta was a really cool card. Still too strong for EDH. This was an interesting thing. So this is me going through all of the ban cards. I have played against roughly half of the ban cards in EDH. Not necessarily all in EDH, but at some point in my life. And there's a lot of good insight in here about what playing against some of those cards is like. I've played Adriana more times than I think I have, and like every 4 or 5 months, I'm like, I should play an Adriana deck. I would also love to play some more Bell Borca. I think I've only played it once on the channel. The game that, maybe not that game, but one of the games maybe I played it twice. I don't remember. One of the games had some cool moments in it. And there's a lot more exile. They keep printing more and more Impulse exile-y stuff too. So Belborca's not like amazing. It's probably like a C tier commander, maybe low B, something like that. But with all that exile stuff getting printed, it is going to get better, going to get stronger. I don't know that it'll ever be like an A tier commander. I don't think that'll happen, but there is a lot more support for it, which is cool. This all the multi-class tribal and getting all the classes to level 3. That was a cool moment and extremely difficult to do. This video was cool too. This is the most terrifying Innistrad Midnight Hunt spoiler. I spent an absurd amount of time making that video also, like probably 20 or 30 hours. Oh god, this was me trying the Worldfire combo, and it's like a montage of me trying to make this combo work. I played, I don't know, 5 or 6 games, maybe it was 8 games, it was a lot of games. Ended up going to like, I don't know, 1:30 or 2 in the morning trying to make it work. It's much harder than you think, and with the mana that you can use to do that, you could do literally anything else, and it'll be easier to win the game. This game was fairly eye-opening for me. This is Feather is crazy now. Feather has gotten a lot of support, and I did say this back when Feather came out, that Feather is the type of commander that will get a lot of support because Feather cares about instants, and they print a lot of instants every set, and will continue to print instants in every set. So Feather was good, Feather is really good now, and now Urabrask just came out. Urabrask is gonna add like another layer of consistency and just make it that much easier to win games. If you were determined enough, you could probably build a CEDH viable Feather list. The thing you'll have to worry about is Feather gets hit by a lot of different pieces of stacks, particularly like Thalias, and anything that makes spells harder to cast is going to be not great. But I think if you were determined enough, you could make a CEDH Feather deck. Orcus Combat Reanimator, highly underrated card. Not a lot of people talking about it, but that is a really cool commander right there. Would love to revisit that if I ever had time. Actually, one of the worst Boros commanders might be Odric Bloodcursed. He is awful. There was a moment in one of these games where I had like 3 of my combo pieces and just needed like another 4 cards to make it work. I'm just like, oh my god. It takes so, like, doing literally anything else will be easier and better and probably more fun. This is my most Savage Aurelia. This is the build that I have in paper now. This is the combo Aurelia version. There's now enough combo pieces, and you know, there were actually more than you think there were 10 years ago too, but this is my highest power Aurelia build, and this deck is very, very strong. This was a fun experiment. This was the Built by You. I took suggestions on how to build a commander, and I should probably do that again. I went with something that was like very open-ended. Like Queen Marchesa has just like, she doesn't really push you in one direction or another, so you can kind of just do whatever you want with it. Another Most Savage deck. I wanted to do more of these Most Savage decks, but honestly, I don't have the time. I don't have the time, and we don't have like the group on Patreon to really like playtest these things, because most people aren't playing at the level that these Most Savage decks are kind of at, right? The Most Savage I really wanted to be for like that like turn 6 combo type setting, turn 6, turn 7, like very consistently. And we just don't have that kind of group in the Patreon right now. This is another one that I'm actually pretty proud of, Achromas Ketis Keywords. I've played this deck a lot over the past year. It just makes me happy. I don't know why. I like caring about the keywords because it's something fun and unique that like not a lot of things do. It's just something that like most decks don't care about. They don't care about the number of keywords jammed onto a creature. And this deck incentivizes you to just get as many keywords on there as you can. It's cool. I like it. This is a really good video, how to build decks like a pro. That is my deck building video from last year. And like, I think it's the most viewed video that I released last year that isn't a short. Which tells me I probably need to do some more deck building videos. And I have like scripts written for them. I just like need to actually sit down and film them. But there's some really good information in this video if you're trying to build your decks better. And unlike the last video, I kept this one much shorter, and it's got good information. It's got really good information in it. Out of curiosity. Oh yeah, 117 subscribers. Look at that. Look at that. Oh man, if videos did that, we'd still be doing YouTube full time, baby. Oh, I can dream. I can dream. This was a completely off the cuff thing. So like I made this short because my angel deck was facing a dragons deck, and I'm like, oh god, all these dragons are bigger than my angels. And I didn't have like indestructible or anything. So I got curious, like most dragons are like 6/6s, or at least a lot of them are. And I'm like, what angels can actually profitably block a 6/6? And there's 5 that are big enough, and there's like 1 or 2 with pro red, and like Brazella transforms and stuff. But this thing got 62,000 views. I think it's the single most viewed thing on the channel. And it was weird because it was just a completely off the cuff video that I did. Like there's no plan. Yeah. 100 subscribers. Yeah. Love it. Unfortunately, they've changed the shorts algorithm. They monetized the shorts back in February, but they realized that like by doing that, you want the shorts that are getting viewed the most to display, which means they're just running like all the shorts that are like a year old. That already have like 1 million views on them, because that's what makes sense. This one was wow, this one did crazy too. That's right behind it. Another 62,000 views. Play of the week. This one was cool. This is from a game I played last year where someone was trying to attack me with something. And what did I do? I flashed in a karmic guide to get back. Let's watch the thing.
So I had a really cool game last week, and I wanted to share it with you.
Yep. Used a Quicksilver Amulet to flash in a karmic guide in their begin combat step to get an angelic arbiter to prevent them from attacking me, and it was glorious, because then I can't remember what happened after that. Either I killed them or someone else killed them because they were becoming a threat, and I can't remember if I won the game. I might have off that play, but that was a super cool play. See, the 5 biggest dragons one did not do as well. Makes me sad. This is Kristen's Hoffer Reanimator. That deck's insane. I think she basically said like that deck is easy mode. It just like it does so much. This is around when I started experimenting with more paper magic, and like it's a lot more effort to do these paper videos. And they perform about average relative to everything else that I do. So like it's not really worth the effort, and it's not like they're bringing in a ton of people. But we did get Rachel Weeks in this one. She showed up on the channel a couple times. She's been a friend of the channel for quite a few years now. Also got to play with her at GP Vegas a couple years ago, and I don't know, she's just good people. I always laugh when she's around, so would love to get her in on some more stuff, but I know she's doing Command Zone things now, and she has gotten rather famous over the past few years in the Magic space, so good on her, but hopefully she doesn't forget the small people along the way too. This is Dinosaur Week 2 for the release of the Jurassic Park movie last year, Dominion. And this was fun. Sadly, it did not have the hype that the first Dinosaur Week I did had, because that was amazing. That was a fun time to be doing the channel. That said, I still really enjoyed this, and I also really liked the movie. A lot of people hate on the movie for various things, and like, you know what? It's really cinematic. There's some really cool scenes and really cool shots in the movie. It's not going to change your life like the first Jurassic Park did, at least for me anyway, but like it's a very enjoyable movie. And I think it wrongfully got hated on a lot. I'm still trying to make this work. This was something Mono Whiteboard told me about. Achroma, Art, and Helm. And just try to make as many Achromas as possible. I still want to do this. I think I only got to 2 in this video before someone started shooting them. Makes me sad. This one was interesting in that Sean played a rest in peace that locked everyone out of the game, including himself. He had some sort of like crazy Kaya combo that he was trying to execute, but it was actually a very silly game. Shows you how strong rest in peace can be. I love this Calamax deck, by the way. Slowly building this thing in paper. Can't wait to get it done. Level Up Creature Tribal is one of the silliest decks that I've ever built. I have so many things I want to do with Othari, and I don't have time to produce that many videos. Like, I've been looking at land destruction builds of Othari for like the really powerful commander settings, and like it just takes a lot of time and playtesting, but I think it's possible. Like a Cataclysm with Othari seems game winning. But that brings us up to the present. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm sure this video is getting long. Hope you guys enjoyed this look back. If you want, leave a comment below. Let me know what your favorite game was, what your favorite moment was. There's been some really cool things over the years. I think a whole bunch that I forgot. Yeah, it's been a ride, and I can't say thank you to all of you guys enough.